So we're talking about the dynamic when there's two of you, three usually could be a problem, four of you, two of you probably can hang out, the other two can hang out. But when you're a teenager and you're feeling all that angst and wondering and feeling if anybody likes you and if you're accepted or this, that, and the other, and you're worried about boys. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Truth Tonic for Women. I hope everybody out there is having a fabulous day. And today we're going to be talking about friendships, having a little girl talk, and we're here with Miss Tiffany.
Hey.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Just dandy. Tiffany just got back from Hawaii. She left me. One of those things we'll talk about today is, should your best friend leave you to go to Hawaii? But for now, how was Hawaii?
It was beautiful. It was a lot of fun.
You were there how long?
9 days. 9 days.
What did you do? What was your what is it? Roses, petals, thorns? The best part, the worst part?
The best part was probably just seeing how beautiful it was, spending time with the kids, my husband, and the cliffs and the water. It's just amazing. It's tropical. The worst part was probably the flight back because of the time change, and we were at the Big Island, and so there's no like direct flight. So we had to connect. We connected through LA.
So how long did it take you to get home?
It's like 17 hours.
Oh my God.
But that included like a layover in LA. But the layover was like middle of the night, my time in Hawaii. So it was really weird. It took me a couple of days, solid 5 days to actually acclimate back.
That's just crazy. I didn't realize the time.
Like I said, you know how you and I have talked a million times about going to the Maldives?
Yeah, that's
Girl,
a flight.
We're going to have to figure that out.
Okay, we are going to do a little icebreaker. We're going to pull cards. I have no idea what card this is going to be. And then we're going to answer the card.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Do we have to be honest?
Very honest, because I'll know when you're lying. Like, that's the whole thing. You can't lie.
Oh, good. I got...
Okay, you go first.
So I ask you?
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. It says fill in your own question.
Oh, another one.
Yeah, because I can't think that quick. Oh, Lord.
What is it?
This is deep.
Oh, God.
If you had 3 years left to live, what would you be doing differently?
Oh. If I had 3 years left, I would be working for myself. I would never work for anybody in those 3 years. I would travel everywhere and try to figure out how to make income while I was traveling. I would literally, for the next 3 years, I would see every single place possible. That's what I would do. And probably spend some quality time with all the people that I love the most, because I won't have a job because I only have 3 years to live. I'm not working. That is not going to be something that I'll do.
You don't even want to do that now, and you have many years.
That was like, that's not my thing. Okay. What is something about you that you think would surprise me? Now, this is going to be interesting.
Is there something?
I don't know.
Something about me that would surprise you.
Me.
And we've been friends how long?
Yeah, a long time.
We need to tell them how long we've been friends.
Well, we've been friends since, like, we've been in the 5th grade.
Yeah.
So, a long time.
Something about me that would surprise you. I wish I had more kids. No.
Okay,
I don't.
that would surprise me.
So,
I feel like you got your hands full.
That I can't wait for grandkids.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
See, that I can't sing.
No, that doesn't surprise me. And see, that's what today's all about. Like, I saw a TikTok. Is it TikTok or Instagram? And this guy is strolling down the street and he says, if you've had a best friend that you've known since elementary school, it's a keeper. They know the first time you got drunk, the first time you had sex, the first time you got like screamed at by like some crazy person on
Why
the
you
street.
cry,
Like,
what you sound like when you're
bad
upset.
things. Like they know, and they're still around. He said, "You better keep them."
Yeah, you know, when you said we were going to do this on friendship, we'd talked about it quite a few times about you and I doing an episode on friendship solely because of how long we've been friends. And we have one other friend that we've been friends with almost, I guess, as long. Yeah, as long. And then I was thinking yesterday about like why the different types of friendships that you have and what they mean to you, and how a lot of times like our different types of friendships don't intermingle.
Yeah.
Because they're not your type of friends.
Yeah.
You know?
And they don't intermingle, but they also, if we're in the same room, it doesn't
But you know the players.
Friction.
Oh, no.
It doesn't cause any friction either. It's just like a
But do you remember when we were teenagers?
Yeah, that's a completely different
That causes a lot of friction. I mean, you and I had a lot of friction.
Yeah. So we're talking about the dynamic when it's there's two of you, three usually could be a problem, four of you, two of you probably can hang out, the other two can hang out. But when you're a teenager and you're feeling all that angst and wondering and feeling if anybody likes you and if you're accepted or this, that, and the other, and you're worried about boys, for your two friends to be together for whatever reason, happenstance, right? Like you're at the mall, you see each other, you want to come over, but you're over at your house and you're like, why are they leaving me out? Like that can cause some bitter feelings.
Well, I think it was an odd situation when we were younger. And even more so now with social media, because kids see their friends.
See what your friends are doing.
I mean, before, if you didn't answer the phone.
If you didn't live in the same neighborhood.
Yeah.
Or call for some reason and hear someone in the background, basically you were clueless. But when you went to school on Monday and you're laughing about something that happened and you weren't a part of it.
How do you feel about it?
Hot feelings.
How do you feel about it now, though? Like you and I can remember how we felt about it then.
Right.
How do you feel about it now as an adult?
I mean, I feel like as an adult, and I'm going to say this coming from a couple of different standpoints. So when you're an adult and you have adult friendships with people that you meet when you're an adult, it's a completely different journey, right? Because they don't know your baggage. And I feel like when you're an adult, you want to feel like you have all your shit together. All your stuff together. And you're not going to talk about those nuances about your personality, right? You're going to try to hide those and you're going to talk about all the positive things happening. So in a way, you think you have this great relationship. But at the end of the day, when something tragic happens or just bad news happens or something like that happens, do you call that friend or do you call your friend from like way back in the past that knows you? And so that's a dynamic that I don't think that people think about, because I think a lot of people have friendships, have maintained friendships from an early age.
You think a lot? See, I think it's rare.
I think they have maintained like
communication,
but they don't have that friendship. And I think that when you are an adult and you crave that friendship that you have when you were younger, I think that that's when like relationships can, out of that communication that you have, can bring about a renewed friendship with that friend that you had from yesteryear. Does that make sense?
Yes. Well, because you and I went through it.
Yeah. So I moved to New York and I was in New York for about 18 years.
And I was here married, having babies.
Yeah, and Tiff stayed, well, not stayed. Tiffany was here in Atlanta. Um, and I remember we talked a couple of times, but those couple of, she was like the last person that I said goodbye to, the family, what have you. And you go to New York and you start this new life, and, you know, you talk rarely, but when important things happen, you get a phone call or what have you. And one of the people that we were really close to in high school died. I mean, in our group, like, this is crazy. How is someone our age dead right now? And it's kind of one of those things that like made you think like, okay, this is how we were in high school and this is the friendship that we had and we could talk about anything. The phone call that we had that day was like a phone call we would have had on a phone on the phone when we were 16, 17, 18. Yeah. Like, we just kind of like stepped right back.
Well, you didn't leave to go to New York on a bad note. And people always say, what do you mean you didn't have contact? And I said, well, she was doing her thing and I was doing my thing. It wasn't that we weren't there for each other, because like you said, that phone call was like, hey, Trace, no. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen you in so long. But I also think we were both in a place in our life where we had been on that separate journey, but we kind of felt like we needed to be back together.
Yeah.
You know, don't you think that?
Yeah, because I mean, Tiffany's the reason why I moved back to Atlanta. My husband likes to think that it's him.
No,
but it was not. She basically said to me one day, listen, you've been running for a really long time. You run marathons, you go travel, you take Italian, you do all these things, but you need to like sit your ass down and like settle down. You need to, I'm not saying you need to be here, move back here, but you need
But I kind of wanted you to, yes.
Right. And it was during COVID, the whole
well, you'd been through a lot up there by yourself.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, so I guess that is interesting in the sense that when you are a teenager, when everything is so important that that person is in your face 24/7.
Yeah.
To go to, you can not talk to me for a week, 2 weeks, a month.
Well, doesn't Stephen always say like, what's wrong with you and Tiff? Why aren't you talking? And you're like, there's nothing wrong.
Like, is Tiffany mad at you? Like, what? No.
If she was mad at me, she'd pick up the phone.
Like, it doesn't work that way.
But I think that some friendships now are so different. I was thinking about my kids when we talked the other day about doing this episode. And then I started thinking about the different types of friendships we have. We have the long-term friendships, the friendships that know deep what you need,
right?
You know, and then we have the friendships we make as adults, like our neighbors, the people we hang out with. And then we have our circle friendships. Like I have a group of friends that we all have kids about the same age, you know, and we get together, we have dinner, we hang out in our pajamas and watch TV together. We have a group text and we talk all things family and friends. We bring each other up. We hold each other accountable. And that's an important part.
You have friendships with your husband's friends,
right. And so we have all these different aspects and they're all equally as important. They just serve a different purpose. And I kept thinking about my kids because my youngest has a ton of friends. She has friends from church and from the neighborhood and from her other school and from, you know, just all over the place. And my oldest two have friends, but they don't have a ton of friends. And sometimes it's really upsetting to them. Yeah. I mean, they've come to me before. Do you think that's
because it's like the age now when people don't mingle?
Well, I think I do. I think, you know, I do. I think that they don't spend a lot of time together so they're both in college now, but even in high school, they didn't spend a lot of time together like we used to.
How do you think that kids now have these friendships when most of their conversation is on text or social media?
I think it
Is
is.
it the idea of the person that they want to be friends with, or is it actually the person that they want to be friends with? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, because how do you get to know
Well, I
someone's
think
personality these days?
well, I think you don't ever get to know somebody like really in depth. I think my oldest daughter, the girl I would say she has been best friends with her whole life. She met when she was 2.5. Mm-hmm. They don't see each other that often, but they're like the you and I, mm-hmm. where if something, and then my middle daughter has a best friend that she's been friends with since, they're going to kill me for getting this wrong, probably 4th grade, maybe, and they're super close. But that's it.
Yeah.
And but I've tried to tell them both, they have other friends, but they don't feel that.
Right.
And they go, but Mom, you have all these friends. And I go, yes, but it's also a different time of my life that I've made a lot of friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. My mom friends and my neighborhood friends, they're not there yet, but they get upset. And I said, but you really only need something that fills your heart. Yeah. You need that person who you could go to, you could not talk to for 18 years, but you could pick up the phone and call. I think I think if I had to do our friendship over again, I would have not let that time go by, because I would have wanted you to be a part of my kids, even being far away.
Yeah.
But you solved that by just seeing them and loving them.
Showing up
and feeding them Chick-fil-A and but it's still a different.
Yeah, because let's be honest, so growing up, we had a group of friends. I want to say at 5 or 6 at the core. It's probably like 3, 4 at the most, and there are people in that group right now that stayed here the 18 years and you're still not that close to. You can call and talk to them, but they don't know you on a personal level. So I think for me, I feel as though you meet people, and there's a saying that you meet people for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And I think that everybody shows up for you in those moments. So you have a lifetime friend. So that's Tiffany and I. A reason. So a reason can be you're at work and you have a coworker that I've done this and it's horrible, but I still think that I could pick up the phone to call. But I was like close to so many people in nursing and went to another hospital, and we still speak to each other, but we're not as close as, because we don't see each other every single day.
Right.
It was like my work marriage. It was like my work friends, and they're important to me. And I still, I think of them and I laugh about the things that we've gone through, but they're not the person that I'm going to call in the middle of the night when something is going on. And well, actually, would that be a season or a reason? I think that that's a season. So a friend for a reason is a friend that you think that you like hit it off with. Y'all are like getting along great. Y'all hang out and then they totally disappear. Have you ever had that type of friend that you?
I might have done that.
Oh my! I know that I've done it. It's like, oh, we had so much fun,
and then you find out that they're.
One day you're like, she's a lot.
She's a lot.
I gotta get away from that.
But what would you say to somebody out there that's listening that struggles with creating that bond or feeling that bond? Because I don't think that you can make it.
Scary to.
Yeah.
I think it's scary to put yourself out there and be vulnerable enough to have a true best friend.
Right.
And that's why I think that if you do have a friendship that started when you were 10, it's so much easier because you have no inhibition, right? You are your authentic self. You don't think anything's going to affect you. You speak your mind. You can get mad and have a fight. You don't care. So
that was my next
talk
question.
To you anymore because you're whatever, but you always get back together, So
I think you and I had enough fights when we were younger.
But that's because that's you getting to know each other and like putting limits and boundaries on your friendship. And I think that when you're older, I'm not saying that you can't have a really good friendship with someone, but I think it's definitely a different vibe because they don't it's hard for them to get to know all of you because there are layers, and you don't want to them to peel that onion.
Sometimes you don't, because sometimes there's a lot.
Yeah.
It might be a lot for somebody else to learn your things or my things. I think about teenagers mostly because I have 3 daughters, and I think about how I've seen them struggle with friendships. Mm-hmm. And it's not like I haven't struggled with friendships. I view it differently now. But I'm with you. I think when social media puts a lot of pressure on people to be a certain way, and you might not want somebody to see you.
Yeah.
Where I think you and I have seen each other at our lowest and our highest.
Lows, highs, and had so much fun in between.
Yeah.
But, okay, so let's flip the coin, right? So we've talked about friendships that you've had since you're like wee high, and making friendships when you're older. What about those friendships that you form where that person sucks all the oxygen out of a room? Like, how do you, because, first they're like all good. They're like, oh, yeah, da, 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 da. And then one day you get that phone call and she just will not stop telling you the same story. Like, I hate him. He did this.
Or either
and it just continues to like pull you into their
drama.
So
like, I think that you have to be very careful on new friendships, because you can get sucked into somebody's drama, especially if you don't know them that well. And I always tell my kids, like, you're not responsible for anybody's happiness but your own. But then I have had those friends who have, in my adult life, I've had friends come into my life who I feel like wanted me to be that person that made them happy or did like all this, they're everything. Yeah. And that's very difficult because you're talking about,
and we're talking about a nice person.
Yeah. But just too much
drama. I mean, because you want to be a good friend, right? But there's a certain point where you can't drop everything all the time when they are having a meltdown. Because they have meltdowns often.
Yes.
So you got to figure out how to fail fast in that friendship. Or do you have a conversation and say, I love you dearly, but we need boundaries?
So I've had that happen. And I think I wish I had said we need boundaries, but I didn't. I just kind of stepped back.
And so then that person doesn't know why you stepped back. So then that's a whole nother like layer.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I just didn't know. I don't think I'm the type of person that you could say.
Yeah. I'm a Capricorn. I could definitely.
You could say no.
Yeah. No. But
even if you didn't say it, it would be obvious. You would know it.
You would know it. I say that because I feel like it's true what you said. So your teenagers, it's hard not having a big safety group of friends, right? And I don't want to say safety friends, a group of friends that provide safety for you to be yourself, talk about what you need to, get advice with, travel with, all those things. And I think that if you're older or college on and you meet someone and you want a closeness with people because you crave friendships, I think it's difficult for some people to be able to push some people back a little bit because they're infringing on their personal space because they're that needy.
Well, so I think when you're older and you form a friendship, there's a fine line.
Yeah.
There's a line in the sand that you don't want somebody new to cross because you've already established your life, your what you do on a daily basis, maybe, or what you enjoy. And so it's nice to have somebody to go to dinner with. It's nice to have somebody to go to the movies with, outside of a boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever. It's nice to have somebody to talk to. So it's hard to do that, to know how to do that. I don't think there's an age or a way to say. I think you have to do that from how you just feel the most comfortable way or the easiest way you think. I think friendships are so weird.
Yeah, they are.
Friendships all across the board are weird. I think friends that you've been friends with forever. I think friends that you make in your neighborhood. I think friends that you work with. I mean, it's not easy.
Yeah.
Even though they say friendship should be easy.
Yeah.
Our friendship is easy, but at some point you get like, you're like, do I cross this line?
Yeah.
Am I that person? But I think a lot of people, what I would tell a lot of people, younger especially, is that if you find that one person
that gets you,
that's enough.
Yeah.
Like, it really is enough for you to have that one person that you put in a separate category. You can have friends all over the place, but if you have one person that you put in that special category, then you've done well.
I mean, because at the end of the day, you can have multiple best friends. You can have multiple friends. Tiffany and I will always be best friends, and we've been friends, like I said, since we were 10 years old. When I was in New York, I met two amazing people, Chad and Jeffrey. Unfortunately, Chad passed away. That like broke my heart, but he was my bestie. We did everything together.
He was your person.
He was my person. He was literally my person. And Jeffrey, who I still travel with to this day, gets me on every level, and he makes fun of all of those levels, and
he crosses boundaries that I don't cross,
all types of lines, but he can get along with every single one of my friends. Like,
don't you think think he crosses different lines than me? Like, I wouldn't say things to Traci that he does,
and he could care less.
Yeah, because she would be like,
no. So I'm not saying that you can't make friends as an adult, but I'm just saying it's a little bit harder, and it takes a little bit longer to figure out if they're your true friends or if
that's the person.
So the reason that I asked that question about a negative friendship is because I was talking to a friend of mine who went through a little bit of, I'm going to say domestic violence. Not that it was violent. It's, domestic violence can be physical, verbal, the whole 9 yards. But she was telling me a story about how she befriended this person. They get along really well, but this person seems to be going through some of the same things that she went through. So, of course, this person can recognize the signs, and she's like giving her advice, but this person keeps coming back and back and back. And she said to me, she goes, I really don't know how to handle the situation because I want to help her, but at the same time, it's triggering me.
Yes.
And I'm going to have to pull away because she's not listening to my advice, and I'm being triggered, and I don't want to go back to that headspace.
Well, I believe that you do attract certain type of people. It happened to somebody.
The person that needs it is going to attract that person.
Yeah, and I had that happen to somebody in my life, and they were like, well, this person is just like me in all these aspects. And I'm like, oh no, you do not need that person.
Yeah.
That does not need, because that's hard enough for you. You can't do your stuff and their stuff.
Yeah, when you're healing and trying to figure out your stuff,
you've almost healed. Back to that place.
Because that is a trigger.
Yes.
I mean, because for the most part, we think about friendships, I think, is that person that I can hang out with and have fun, right? Like, do all the fun things. But let me just tell you about a weekend with Tiffany and I. We get in a car. Okay, so I used to fly from New York. She would meet me at the airport. I would get Chick-fil-A. We would drive to Hilton Head and we would sit on a beach for 4 days. So another kind of part of this story is my husband is her brother's best friend. So like literally we've known each other for forever. So her brother, who is like a brother to me, and my husband would call and say, so where did y'all go? What bar did you go to? Blah, blah, blah. And we're like, what are you talking about? They're like, you're in Hilton Head. You're at the beach. What did you do?
We're like, we're on page 87.
We are reading a book. Like, what do you mean? Yeah, we buy the same book. We start the book at the same time. We finish the book before we leave. It's like really crazy. So we did this trip in the summer, but you guys, we do it in the winter. So January comes along and they look at us and they're like, what do you mean you're going to Hilton Head? It's the winter. What are you going to do? We're like, put on pajamas and watch TV and go walk on the beach. They're like, are you crazy? Like,
we love it.
Best time. We do it. We haven't done it this year. I'm a little annoyed, but that's our friendship. And we don't talk on the beach, you guys. It's like maybe 1 o'clock. We're like, we need a beverage. Yes. We go get one. We talk for lunch. We go back to the beach.
We take our cheese and crackers down there.
We have snacks. We have music.
It's just the way it is.
Yeah. So that's an easy friendship. But I do certainly, like, my godchild is talking all the time about this group of friends that she's in. And she's like, so-and-so's not talking to me and I don't think that I've done anything. Like, was she having a bad day? Like, what's going on? And I think to myself, kids must really have a difficult time navigating groups of friends when, number one, they have to do all of these extra activities to get in college, right? And then they have homework and half of them want a boyfriend. Like, how are they navigating friendship? Like, it's a lot.
Well, I think it's hard when there's a lot of them. Because I tell my kids, I'm like, if you think that your group of friends don't talk about you, you're crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
you're always going to talk about.
You're always going to say, like, oh,
now,
she's
if you're
being
brave
a pain.
enough to say it to the person's face, that's a real friend. If you can talk about them behind the back and then tell them what you said, because you know it's going to come back to them. So you might as well get it out there first.
I know. I just wish, yeah.
You guys.
Like, you are getting on my nerves.
Oh my God. What is your problem today?
But they'll say.
Or what about when your friend comes down? I remember this quite often that, like, Lisa and I would go out. Lisa's a friend of ours that we had back in the day. And I would come over and I'm like, what do you have on? You got to take that off. Like, we cannot go out like that. Nope. Let me go through your closet.
Traci was always the most honest of the friends, though.
Just like, who, me?
And it wasn't always like in a nice, kind way.
My husband thinks I'm the devil. He's like, why can't you just be nice?
Well, I said when I found out Traci was a nurse, I was like,
what? Everybody said that.
She's not going to have the best bedside manner.
But you know what? Most nurses are just like me.
Yeah.
Because it's like you have to be able to, like, walk a fine line between being nice and telling someone nicely where to shove it.
Yeah. But I think friendships really ground you. And I think there's no way you could survive without them.
Yeah.
In all walks of life.
And you're right. You only need one really good one.
Yeah. You can have one really good one and the rest are amazing or great or.
What do you say to the person who, we've all had that friend. I know that you go through it in high school, especially, but like when you're older and there's like 3 of you that are friends, like maybe you meet at work and you just take that friendship a little bit further and one is always upset because you did something with the other. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I don't think it happens when you're old.
I've seen it happen and I'm just like, well, do you like going to like,
I guess it would be weird if I was like, I just went back to work after 20 years of stay-at-home mom. And I work at a high school. And my coworker went back to work the same time I did after being home for 21 years. We both have 3 kids. We get along so good that it's weird on a day when I'm not with her, because she and I have she's 10 years younger than me though, but she started having kids early and I started having kids late. Anyway, I said to her one day, I really think that God puts people in places when you need them and keeps them there for what you need them for. And she and I I could sit here and list the things for the past 2 years on a daily that we go through on a daily basis, or with our kids or with our parents who are aging. And I said, I can't believe that I have found a friend at the age I am that I can't imagine not seeing on a daily basis. When we're out of school for the summer, it's so weird for us because we're so used to every morning. And I really wouldn't want to do it without her.
Yeah.
I mean, I tell her I would not want to do this without you.
Work friends are extremely important.
Because I feel like I've put her from that work friend category into my life.
Yeah.
Because just how we live, like, just because how we get along and how well she can see my face and she knows.
Well, so
or she can hear my voice.
Do you think the friendships that you have had over the years have helped elevate you, right? So like, I know that my work friends that have like crossed over from work friends to real friends. I mean, I've moved states, so I don't speak to them on a normal basis. I had a friend of mine that I spoke to. We would work a 12-hour shift together overnight. And when I got home and woke up, I would call her and we would be on the phone for another 2 hours. And she was like, Traci, why have we just talked for 2 hours when I'm going to see you again tomorrow?
I know.
But like just talking about the whole work night and the whole whatever. But she always had my back. Like if I said I'm going to school to do that, she was like, yeah, you can do that. I can help out this way. I can help this way. But they like really lifted me up and like pushed me to do that next level thing.
Even if you don't maintain that friendship with people you work with in your next step, you have to have those friends that lift you up, because like that's my mom group.
Yeah.
My mom group is, our texts are serious and then they're not serious.
Your mom group is the group that if something's going on, you leave us something, that you have something that you.
So we have a mascot. His name is Frank. Mm-hmm. And he is this huge metal flamingo. And we call ourselves the ladies of the night.
Because they are. Because
we get together and we just bring whatever we have in our refrigerator and we're in our pajamas and we go to somebody's house and we just.
You leave the flamingo.
So sometimes if you're having a bad day, Frank will show up, and Frank has a bag around his neck and it's filled with goodies. It might be like small little wine or tequila, or it might be chocolate or a magazine or Kleenex and cough syrup and your favorite cookies. I mean,
I guess that's on a sick day.
Yeah, it's anything. Or like, just if you're having a really shitty time, we go and we think, what are, so-and-so's favorite things? And we'll go leave Frank.
So that's fun.
It's so fun and so supportive, and it's just amazing.
Know that you have a group of people that are always in your
corner. And one of our group moved to Pennsylvania, and you know who you are. I'm talking about you. So we try to figure out, like, how are we going to get Frank up there? We can't get Frank to Pennsylvania. So she came down to visit, and our other friend who had Frank bought Frank over to the house.
So she won't.
So she had Frank.
So y'all are going to have to get like a little one.
Well, before we left, before she moved, she got everybody like a little Frank. Yeah. But, and it's so uplifting. And we talk about how we lift each other up. But you have said to me before, you need to put people in your life that bring you up.
Yeah.
No matter what it's about, no matter if it's about your looks or your family or your work or your school or what you need positive people in your life.
I say this all the time, and sometimes
they don't have to be positive every day.
I like to say that my husband is a Pied Piper of people. So like, I'm telling you, if you ever meet him, he has like 75 best friends. Like everyone's a best friend. But for me, now he gets along with everyone. He judges no one. He meets people where they are. Like he is a shark. He can swim alone. He can do these things, right? Me, on the other hand, right? I'm the person who, for instance, a story. So I find out that this one particular person has been cheated on, and I'm like, oh my God, that's awful. I'm like, so sorry that happened. I'm here for you. What do you need? Blah, blah, blah. And you guys, she got back together with the dude. Like, I don't even think they broke up. So I'm like, what that tells me is that we don't swim in the same waters, right? Because I'm at an age where you do that to me, we're done, moving on. I don't know what I have in common with someone that I can go out and kick it with if I know that they don't think enough about themselves to think that this situation is wrong. Now, I'm not saying don't get back together. I'm not saying that you can't work through things, but for you to just turn around the next day and be like, all is forgotten, like, what is that saying? How do you feel about yourself?
So you're saying with your friendships, you like people that are uplifting, but also have confidence and have enough confidence in themselves.
I want to be friends with someone that their self-worth
is a lot.
Means everything. Because what else? I mean, like, if I come to you because my husband's cheating on me, what are you going to tell me to do? Like, are you going to tell me it's okay? Like, no, it's not okay. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
like, I need someone that's going to, like, propel you. Like, you know.
Yeah. But
that I can learn from, with.
I get that. But I also think that maybe they need you because they need to learn from you. Maybe you need to have that type of, don't you have some of those? Or maybe you have a person you might learn from.
Oh, that's the whole point. I feel like I learn from all of my friends. What am I learning from someone
but
who
you're
doesn't
not
value
but
their
you're not
self?
learning. Maybe they're learning.
Maybe I was put into that person's life.
So I do think
teach a lesson.
Yes, to help
facilitate, but you got to be willing to listen also.
Well, yeah, I think that's very true. I
actually do have to say, I think now barring high school, because I feel like, well, we were friends in elementary school. I feel like when you are friends at a young age, you don't know who you are.
No.
You don't know what you value. Anything like that. I think the key to making and sustaining friendships when you're older is that you know and value yourself enough to know, no, this friendship isn't going in the right direction and I need to walk away.
Yes.
And I'm not talking about the people who you love but like sap your energy because they're so needy. I'm talking about, you just find out that this person isn't the person that they thought they were and they're just overall not good for you.
That friendships are not easy. They're important.
Very important.
And they can really help you through a lot. As an older person, your self-confidence and things that you've learned along the way can bring a lot to the table. But I also think that having a lot of people in your life is overwhelming.
Yeah, that's true.
So you have to be able to take a step back.
Yeah.
And you have to be okay if you're not invited everywhere.
Yeah.
And you have to be okay if your friend doesn't text you right back.
Personally.
Like if you have a friend like I do,
me
that you text and then you don't hear from for like a couple of days. It doesn't mean that she's dead or that she doesn't like you. It just means that she reads her text and then doesn't respond.
Or
but it's okay.
That I have to say,
okay.
I can read a text message and say, I'm going to respond to that.
Or think about the response in your head.
And then 2 days later, or I can start typing and I get another text and I can see what I started to type. But
I'm just so over that. My kids are like, she didn't text back, did she? No.
I do it with my husband too. He's like, why didn't you ever
terrible
answer?
Too.
Why didn't you answer the phone when I was calling? I was watching TV. What do you want?
I tell my husband, I'm glad I'm not dead. And he goes, oh, I'm glad too. But I think
what about friendships with men? Do you think it's possible to be? Now I mean, Jeffrey is like gay, so he's like a completely different
Really? Is he really?
Yeah, he is. So I feel like that's a different dynamic. But do you think, because my whole entire life, I've had male friends up until like I moved to New York.
But they were gay.
No, like Platon, like Steve and like all the people.
Yeah.
And you think that, you're really good friends, but then you find out, whether it's like 6 months, a year, 2 years,
that they
want to get some. So
I think it's possible. I do think it's possible. Depending on where you meet them and how you met them, yes, I think it's possible.
So you think that if you meet a guy and like at work, for instance, and y'all are work friends, that if you become like someone that like you're talking on the phone or what have you, like strictly platonic, that he's not thinking about.
I have a work guy friend, but I'm married and he's married, but we work in the same office and work friends.
You don't but you wouldn't consider him like, those girls that have like best friends.
No. I mean,
no. I used to think it was possible, but I don't think it's possible anymore.
I don't think it's possible.
I don't think it's possible.
I mean, if you lived across the United States from each other.
I mean, and then you're going to like call and ask for advice so he knows everything. I think that they're just waiting
if they're gay.
For an opportunity.
You do? Always?
Yeah, I think so. I do.
Yeah, because I think if my husband was like, I'm going to go to lunch with Susie from work, I'd be like, no, the hell you're not. What do you mean, Susie from work?
Friends.
No, but
we're besties.
No.
Well, I mean, you can
have work friends
I've had
that you go eat with. Yes, you could have a work friend, like Amanda and Brian and I could go eat at the taco truck together.
Yeah,
and it's no big deal.
But like, I don't think of that, it's like, unless like if you're married and you're friends with
friends with the couples, yeah. But I think if I was like all of a sudden saying, "Oh, Kelly, I'm going to go shopping with so and so," he'd be like, "That's kind of weird." No,
maybe not. Oh well, no.
And I would be like, "No."
Okay, no. Kelly would be like, "Okay," and then she would get home and he would say, "Where did you go?" And she would tell him. He'd be like, "You didn't tell me that." He never remembers what we tell him. Like, I come from New York, and he's like, "What are you doing here?"
But
like, we're going to the beach. He goes, "Nobody told me that."
But don't you think that Stephen could have a girlfriend?
I mean, I'm sure. Well, Stephen likes to say he has to
keep
a bat in the car to like,
keep the women off
of him. So I don't know if he could have like just a platonic friend, because they're apparently always crawling all over him.
I think it would be hard because you feel super comfortable with your friends.
Yeah.
And if you felt that comfortable with somebody, it might lead where you don't need to lead.
One night when you're like, oh.
Yeah, or you're just sitting around.
He did me dirty.
But maybe if you're not married, if neither one of you married, then it's no big deal.
That's true. But I still don't think that somebody wants. If you two single people, think
that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that I think if somebody were trying to get a little, it's not as a big deal as if you were married
and trying to get some.
I think it's harder to be married and have a friendship with the opposite sex.
That wasn't there before you got married.
That wasn't there before you got married.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then sometimes if your husband didn't know that person, they might not feel great about it.
Like men who said that I couldn't travel with Jeffrey. I'm like, excuse me?
Oh,
you can't do that. What?
Yeah.
No. We have to talk about narcissistic men on an episode.
That'd
I was
be a good
engaged to
episode.
one that was like really crazy, and I feel like they are everywhere.
I know. But I do think that there are those special friendships and there are bonds across ages and genders and, you know, everything. I'm sure there's people out there that are going to listen and they're going to say that we're crazy for saying that you can't have a platonic relationship. And maybe that's just something that you and
can
I.
have a platonic relationship. You just can't have a bestie that's a male because he wants to get in your pants. I'm sorry, I'm just saying it. I used to believe it wasn't true, but I think it's true.
I don't know. I'll have to think on that one.
Okay.
I'll think of it.
Think of it. Or if anybody else can, like, you know, comment and let me know if I'm completely wrong. I want to know the story.
What if, yeah, maybe from a childhood.
I give you that. If you,
but I don't think that you would be besties from childhood on because those teenage years, you're going to get a boyfriend or a girlfriend that is going to put their foot down. I have my two daughters lost their best guy friend because his girlfriend was like, those girls are too pretty. You can't just be friends with them. And he was like, okay. Cause you know, you get some that's good. And then you're like, okay,
exactly.
And they're going through that now. They're still in they're not in the thick of it. They're over the thick of it, but it happened. Yeah. And I could see when I was a teenager, I'd be like, oh no.
I mean, you're so jealous when you're a teenager. You like literally are. You're
of everything.
Hormones,
boyfriends, girlfriends, everything
over the place. I actually think that you're probably more jealous of your friendships than you are with a relationship. When you
I was so jealous of you.
I mean, we just get jealous of each other. Yeah, like, what are they doing and why are they by themselves?
And why did they invite me?
And
now if somebody doesn't invite me, I'm like, they're missing out.
Thank God I can stay home and watch TV. Yeah, is what I'm thinking.
One of my best friends, Mo, she says I don't join. Yeah, like and I'll get her out to eat. You know, she's part of my mom group, and she'll always come to the mom group stuff.
Well, I read something that said that if they don't invite you out, it's God's way of saying you need to stay home. So I'm good with that.
I'm good with that.
Doesn't mean anything. It just means you.
But you don't stop asking because maybe sometime they need it.
Yeah, exactly. But also, when we're talking about these friendships, collectively we've said that our friends can be in the same room. I mean, we just had a wedding when we had friends of everybody and everybody had the best time. But you can have different friend groups that get together and it would be a complete and utter nightmare.
You're about to.
Oh, yeah. I'm about to witness that. But you know what I'm saying? So it's like you don't invite some people sometimes because you know that these certain people are going to be there and you got to just say what's best for the party.
Yeah, it's got to be
best for the ambiance, so to speak. Yeah. You got to pick and choose. And it's
that
not
should be understandable. It's not being mean.
It shouldn't be mean.
No. Like you could be at my mom's night. If you happen to be in town or you are over there, you could be at my mom's night. My mom friends are awesome and you're awesome. But I wouldn't call you and say, hey, we're hanging out tonight. Yeah. Because you'd be like, okay.
I mean, those are like definitely, I think that, so I guess what I'm trying to say is when someone is not inviting you to something, it doesn't mean that they don't like you. It just means that the circumstances
that's good to say.
Are
that's
probably
very good to
better if not everybody is together at this one time.
You might not have fun. Yeah. It's like when I had my one of my reunions. One of my class reunions, Kelly went with me. And then 5 years later, he goes, do you want me to go? And I'm like, no, because you don't know anybody. It's dumb. Yeah. And he was okay with that.
See, we need to be like that in our friendships because I feel like your best friendships are a marriage. Right? So you join hands in friendship. You may or may not kiss a couple of times along the way. Maybe intentionally or unintentionally. Maybe. You know each other's families.
Everybody each other naked.
I mean, just these normal things. So your friendships are like a marriage and you got to like maneuver those highs, those lows, and different friends are going to come into the
I used to
the
be so
mix.
jealous when you first moved over here and you would go on your Thursday nights for your girls.
Thirsty Thursdays.
But then I was like, I don't
You don't
even
even
drink
do
that
Thursdays.
much. Like, that's dumb. Why do I
Why
care that
would
she's
I
at the bar with her friend? I have to go. I have 3 kids here. I got to cook dinner. She's at the bar. But then I was like, oh, I wish I was at the bar with Traci. She didn't even ask
I
me.
know.
I'm like,
And then it's like,
I don't even drink.
and then Tiffany's over here telling me all that she's done with all of her friends. Like, oh, well, I got what is it, flamingo in the yard, and I'm going to the beach with this friend. I'm like, wait, what? What beach? We're beach.
Well, no,
friends.
wait, beach would
what
be
are
different.
We doing? What are we doing?
But if I put a flamingo in your yard, you'd be
I
like,
know.
why is there a flamingo in my yard?
That is true, but like,
I could put it in a nice little box.
true, or like, I don't know. I think, yeah, and Tiffany like hangs out with like more people from high school than I ever do, and I'm like, what do you mean that they are all together, and like, what about me? But like, it's like, then you think about it and you're like, I didn't like them anyway. Like,
Or I don't want to go.
why am I upset about this?
Yeah, it's only momentary. It's like fleeting.
Yeah.
It's
you
fleeting.
think about it and you're like, yeah, no, that's not for me. But what would you say if someone asked you what your definition of friendship is? What would you say?
My definition of friendship. That's really hard for me because I think there are friendships come on so many different levels.
Mm-hmm.
And some people I think would automatically say like honesty, but I don't even think honesty has to fall in there.
Yeah.
Because I feel like sometimes there are things left unsaid that need to be left unsaid.
Yeah.
That it's not like, I think your friends need to be protective of you. I think a friendship needs to be a friendship needs to be a safe space.
Oh yeah.
That's what I think. I think in any situation, I could say my work friendship, my friendship with you, my friendship with Lisa, my friendship with my mom's friends, they are very safe spaces. My friendship with my husband is a very safe space. People would say, is your husband your best friend? And I would say, no. He's my heart, but he is not, because we see differently on things, and I'm a female and he's a male, and he'll tell you flat out, even with 3 daughters, sometimes he just doesn't get it.
Yeah.
He just doesn't get it, but he is my safest space.
Yeah.
My friendship with my parents. Yeah, I mean, friendship is just different all across the board, but I feel like those are very safe spaces.
Right.
I wouldn't say my friendship with like your neighbor that comes over here. I'm friends with your neighbors, but they're not my safe space.
Right.
So that's what I would say. A safe space.
I think I thought about this and I saw like a little snippet on, and I'm sure I've sent this to you, because for me, I mean, I have, Tiffany's my best friend. I have Jeffrey's my best friend. My cousin that I grew up with, she's my best friend. All different relationships. But this TikTok that I've sent to both of them is this person coming, and I can't remember what movie it is. It's Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck. He's talking to his friend. He comes over and he says to the guy, listen, I'm going to need your help with something. I can't tell you what it is, and we might go to jail afterwards. And he looked at him and he said,
I'll be ready.
Okay.
I'll be ready at 5 or something.
Yeah,
like
let
that.
me get my shoes. Like, that's the definition of your bestest friend. Like, one of those things where, listen, guys, I do not want to be in an orange jumpsuit ever. But there are about 3 people that can call me and say, listen, I'm outside, get in the car. I'll tell you, I can't tell you what it is. And I'm going to listen, I'm going to plead with you the whole entire time.
But you're going to get in that car.
Please don't make this so I have to go to jail.
How many,
but I'll be there.
how many missions have we been on?
I know. It's like back in the day, you guys, we did some we did some stakeouts. We did some phone calling. We did some road trips. We did, you name it, we did it.
There was a couple of times when I've said, come on, we're going.
We're going. And I'm like, oh my God, this is not going to end well. But anyway, so I guess what we wanted to impart today was that friendships are really important. They all look different. They all start at different times. You can have different ones along the way. You can stop talking to one and pick that friend back up. But friendships are how we grow. It's how we learn things. It's how we are pushed to the next level. You see a friend and her house looks like, oh my God. And you're like, I am not working hard enough. Like, I want some of that in my life. Like, they're there to motivate you and to...
Or look at that friend so down, I've got to lift that friend up. I have to stop what I'm doing.
Right.
And that's what's important. To know that those people you would be willing to do that for.
Right. It's those friends, like... And I don't know if I've said this on a previous podcast, but my mom died when I was 21. And I had friends surrounding me like 24/7. And Tiffany was one of them. And it's just like those people that you can not call. Like, I didn't call anybody because I was devastated, but they just show up. Like, those are the people in your life that you need to keep in your life. You need to be brave enough and know yourself well enough that if you have a friendship with someone that's not giving you those things, that it's okay for you to walk away from.
Especially if they're also taking
from you and not giving back to you, or if they're triggering you to a space that you used to be in. So, give them the tools that they need and then be able to walk away. And I think teenagers growing up these days, you guys give yourself some grace, because friendships are hard to maneuver. They're hard to maintain. But when you find your person, you'll know your person.
Don't lose yourself trying to make something you're not to maintain a friendship, because that's not the way
it's not going to end well.
It should work. And you will find that person. You will be on your life journey with someone, and sometimes you don't even know it's coming and it just hits you.
Right. They're out there. I mean, people are put in your path along the way. Just be able to figure out if that's the right one for you and be honest about it, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. Not everyone's going to like you, or not everybody's cup of tea.
I tell my kids, not everybody's going to like you. Yeah. Not everybody likes me.
Yeah.
But I think that my brother and your husband probably have a hard time with knowing that people don't like them.
Oh my God. They have the worst time ever. They do not like when people don't like them.
Because they think they're...
they think they're
they are very lovable, and they are all that in a bag of chips. But they're not everybody's cup of tea.
Exactly.
Like we are.
Yeah. Everybody loves it. No, not me.
No, not me.
I'm like a Capricorn, so, I got that resting bitch face, and I'm going to tell you the truth no matter what. So I'm not everybody's cup of tea.
Poker. I'm not playing poker with you.
Yeah, I do not have a poker face. Everything I
like my middle child
is on my face. Yeah, at all times.
You're like my middle one. She can't play poker.
Thanks, guys, for tuning in, and I hope we made it make sense today. Please drop us a comment, subscribe.
I'd love to hear about friendships.
Yes, tell us about your friendships. Click that button, subscribe, and keep giving us ideas of what to speak about, talk about, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for watching Truth and Tonic for Women. If you have any questions, leave a comment and let us know. Also, follow us on social media to interact with the community. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.